It is something I like to share some ideas and thoughts with you. I'm not asking that you believe anything that I say. I'm not asking that you agree with me. I'm merely asking that you stand on and in the conversation that we'll share with you this evening. And if there's something that I say that can fit and work for you, I say use it. If not, discard it and let it be. Is that all right? Yeah. Say, that's fair enough. Very good. All right. One of the things I have realized, and many of us have, that if you want something out of life, if you want to change yourself, if you want to acquire something, if there's some goal that you want to reach, that is really not easy as some people will make us feel. That living your dream, changing your behaviors, overcoming negative habits, it's challenging. It's hard. That living alone is just very difficult. And once we begin to come to grips with the fact that living is difficult, life is very challenging. I heard a song once by a guy named Dimples called, "If it ain't one thing, it's another." I say to you, if it ain't one thing, it's 12 others. Always something. You will never ever have a problem-free moment in life. Somebody said, and I like this, that you either in a problem or just left one or headed toward one. Anybody found that to be so? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. I mean, there's always something. So how do we begin to nurture that hunger? What are the characteristics or the qualities of people that are hungry? What will it take for me to get some of the things that I want? And being hungry for those things, number one, you've got to work on yourself. It's very important that you engage in an ongoing process to develop you. Spend more time on yourself than what you've been spending. It's very important. You owe that to yourself. I was reading a book by Ark Mandino called The University of Success. Read one line, gave me a chill. I didn't have to read anything else in the book. He said, many of us never realize our greatness because we become sidetracked by secondary activity. We spread ourselves too thin. Don't know how to say no. And we find ourselves doing all kinds of things and never ever have time to do those things that we need to do to work on ourselves. And then there goes a second, there goes another second, there goes another second, and we can't stop and hold time. And before you know it, you wake up one day and you're behind on your dreams and your bills. So decide that you're going to take some time to work on you, that you deserve that from yourself, that your life deserves some prime time because you are creating your own production. As Michael Todd would say, you are the star of your show. You are the director. You're writing the script, and you will determine whether your life is a smash office hit or flop. You determine that. Working on yourself, talking to yourself. That's so very important. Overcoming the negative conversation, that inner dialogue that's going on all the time, even when you don't want it to be there. You can't stop yourself right now from thinking. You can't do it. It's going on. And so learning how to empower yourself, part of doing that is standing up to yourself. You've got to stand up inside yourself sometimes and say, shut up.
Having self-confidence is difficult. I would lie to your face if I said otherwise. It would be easy to tell you that having self-confidence is easy and give you a few simple steps so that you can achieve it. But it is not, although not for that reason it is impossible. With this in mind, there is a long way to go, and all you have to do is work on yourself. To a lesser extent, not having self-confidence means a sign of humility, an alarm that shows us that we are not perfect and we must continue to improve, nor are we better than anyone else. Because we always tend to see successful people with 100% confidence in themselves, who then end up being a blind look at themselves. Let's think about it in this way. What's the use of having confidence and self-esteem if you're not even really looking at yourself in the mirror? In this life, and in the eyes of God, you must always remain humble, because everything that goes up, if it is in the wrong hands, must come down. But now, it's one thing to have a little low self-confidence, but quite another to cross the barrier where you think you shouldn't be alive, and you don't have confidence in your projects and goals in life. I will tell you the truth. You deserve that, and much more, because every day you fight an endless battle, from the moment you wake up and get out of bed until you lay your head onto the pillow. You know well that you carry out both an external and internal war, so you know more than anyone that you deserve what you want. In this way, you must reinforce that confidence in yourself. Because just as you perceive yourself, do not doubt that they will perceive you in the same way, and if you have more security in your steps, you will be able to change the way people see you, and they will respect you more. As Mark Twain said, a man cannot be comfortable without his own approval. You are the only person who can define who you are, and you have the key to trust yourself. No one will come to your house and give you compliments, or give you the magic formula for you to realize your worth. The mere fact of wanting to have more confidence in yourself realizes that you want to improve. And that is something positive, because the person who thinks that he is complete is the one who has the most problems, because he is a fool and blinded by his own compliments. Self-confidence is not just a state of mind, it is a change in your whole being. As Oprah Winfrey said, it is confidence in our bodies, minds, and spirits that allows us to keep looking for new adventures. You already know that the physical is not everything, but it does change your point of view a lot when looking at yourself in the mirror. Don't lie to me. Every time you dress in those clothes or dresses that you like the most, you feel so much better, right? So use that to your advantage. Wear clothes that you like and make you feel comfortable and beautiful. Cut your hair, change your look, make a radical change, and show the world that you want to live like never before. Life is beautiful, and nobody is going to live it in your place, so take charge of your life and have that confidence that you are missing, and you will know that the world will be completely different. Also, not having self-confidence is an eternal limitation in your life, and there are some things that will prevent you from doing it if you don't change your way of being for the better. If you want to party with your friends and you don't have much self-confidence, you limit yourself to being in a corner and you won't enjoy anything, or you won't be able to meet the love of your life. You couldn't do big projects either because you'll doubt yourself. At that moment, you should automatically say, yes, I am worth this and much more, because I am capable of managing this and carrying out my projects and being successful. Believe me, as soon as you try and get over that damn barrier, everything will be easier, and it will seem like you will have a streak of good luck for the amazing things that happen to you. But of course, it is not magic. You will be the one who puts the machinery into operation, and it will be life that gets to work for you to achieve your dreams. Because you know those dreams are worth it. So, if you fall, get up again and again and again.
Your view of the world depends upon how much you respect and love yourself. When you trust in yourself, you're trusting in the same wisdom that created you. When you fail to love yourself, you're denying your own divinity, and therefore attracting the exact opposite of what this source is. This is a source of love and great respect, and it doesn't create anything that it doesn't have a loving feeling towards. If you don't have that feeling of love toward yourself, you can't extend it outward. Who can give away what they don't have for themselves? If you squeeze an orange, you get out of it orange juice. Why? Because it's an orange. That's what's inside. But if someone puts pressure on you and says something about you that you don't like, out of you comes anger and hatred and bitterness and tension and fear and depression and worry and stress. It's not because of who did the squeezing. It's because of what's inside of you. If you don't have love for yourself, you're not trusting in the wisdom that created you. Say these words to yourself every morning. I am whole. I am enough. And I am perfect as I was created. I am whole. I am enough. And I am perfect as I was created. And I came from a source that not only determined the shape of my eye and my body and the color of my skin, but I came from a source that had a great idea about who I should be as well. And that cannot be fulfilled if you're not in a state of love. Most of you guys don't actually know your self-worth, and you're running around empty. The day that you allow the opinions of the outside world to dictate the way you feel about yourself, it is the beginning of a miserable life. Believe in yourself, independent of the validation of the world. Have good feelings about yourself, independent of the opinions of other people. Why do you have to have somebody calling you beautiful every day in order for you to feel beautiful? Do you believe that you're beautiful, or do you only believe you're beautiful when other people say that you're beautiful? We tend to base our self-esteem on what other people think, and that's not really self-esteem. Self-esteem is supposed to be how we feel about ourselves, and it is so dangerous to allow other people to determine how you're going to feel about you. It's like you're going to look in a dirty, broken mirror, and then try to change your face to look good in this defiled, broken mirror. Life always mirrors back to us the feelings we have inside. The most important relationship you have is the relationship with yourself. Too many people don't like who they are. They focus on their faults and weaknesses. They wish they were different, wish they were taller, had a better personality, instead of accepting themselves as a masterpiece made in the image of God. They're critical towards themselves, and they wonder why they're not happy and why they don't have good relationships. It's because they don't like themselves. If you don't get along with yourself, you're not going to get along with other people. The best thing you can do for your family and those who are around you is be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be merciful to yourself. And above all, be loving to yourself. You're good to others. Why aren't you good to yourself? You compliment your coworker, but when was the last time you complimented yourself? That's not being selfish. That's loving yourself. Too many people go through life against themselves, feeling wrong on the inside. I heard someone say, "I discovered the enemy. It was me." Are you your enemy? Are you defeating yourself, limiting your dreams and sabotaging your relationships, all because you don't like yourself? You have enough people and circumstances against you, so don't be against yourself also. When you wake up in the morning, don't lie in bed and think of everything wrong with you. Instead of focusing on what's wrong with you, start focusing on what's right with you. You may have weaknesses, you've made mistakes, we all have, but there's a lot more right with you than there is wrong with you. Dwelling on the negative and beating yourself up for past mistakes doesn't move you forward. The better you feel about yourself, the more you like yourself and the further you'll go. You can't give away what you don't have. If you're hard on yourself, you'll be hard on others. If you don't forgive yourself, you won't forgive others. When you love yourself, then you can love others. When you're kind to yourself, then you can be kind to others. Everything starts with you. There will always be criticism and negative comments that could bring you down, and whatever you do, something always looks wrong for some people. But darling, you were not born to be perfect, and it's not your job to fulfill everyone's expectation. You are born to be you, and there is only you in this world. No matter what people say about you, it doesn't define you and won't determine your destiny. To love yourself is to develop a sense of self-awareness and self-acceptance of who you are and what you feel and for what you're passionate about. Now, your main focus is to put yourself above all blame and negativity. You're working on your development and growth, and you're near to your success.
In days to come that you are grateful for. What it will begin to do is to change your perspective of your day and your life.
Maybe you're not understanding exactly what it's going to really take to get to that point in your life where you can accept the fact that, hey, this is it.
You don't need to think of how to make $1 million. You need to think of this gift that you have that can make you $10. $10.
People start doing it all over the world, rapid fire, in a very short amount of time. Why? Because it became real people had living proof that it was possible. 4 minutes, what is that? It's an artificial stopping point, a self-created limit. It does not exist. Just like the reason you think you can't write the next best-selling book or the reason you go to a job you hate. Every day, because you've settled. You've limited your potential without even realizing it. Why would you cut yourself off there?
I believe that if you can learn to focus on what you have, you will always see that the universe is abundant and you will have more. If you concentrate and focus in your life on what you don't have, you will never have enough. Be grateful. Keep a journal. You all are all over my journal tonight.
I always understood that there really was no difference between me and the audience. At times, I might have had better shoes, but at the core,
I got to put that work in. I got to apply myself. How bad do you want it? That's all you ever talked about. It's all you ever dreamed about. All you did was wait around, hoping that someone was just going to hand you the keys to the city. No one is just going to hand you over their keys and expect you to drive. In fact, you don't even have a license to understand what it means to get what it is you really want. So if you're not in the mindset, if you're not prepared, if you're not willing, if you're not able, you can forget about it. Your want becomes wasted.
what really matters, that we are the same. And you know how I know that? Because all of us are seeking the same thing. You're here at this fabulous school, and we'll go out into the world and each pursue based upon what you believe your talents are, what your skills are, maybe your gifts are, but you're seeking the same thing. Everybody wants to fulfill the highest, truest expression of yourself as a human being. That's what you're looking for.
You will never be able to see that victory that you want so bad. So if you're going to do it right. Keep it tight. Keep it moving. And conduct your business. There comes a time in everyone's life that you're going to be facing certain challenges. You're trying to figure out what direction you need to go. You're trying to find out who you are, and what you're ultimately made of. And these things are going to happen on a day-to-day basis because when you start your day, you don't really know or understand what's coming. Yeah, sure, you may have a plan. You may know exactly what direction you want to go. But then comes this obstacle, some type of thing that just got in your way, and it completely throws you off.
The highest, truest expression of yourself as a human being. And because I understand that if you're working in a bakery and that's where you want to be, and that may be what you've always wanted to do, is to bake pies for people or bake cakes for people or to offer your gift, then that's for you. And there's no difference between you and me, except that's your platform. That's your show every day. So my understanding of that has allowed me to, to reach everyone. And there's no way that you wouldn't, because that's what I truly feel.
I recently spoke to a man who was about to abandon his path of spiritual study because he couldn't seem to align himself with the laws of life. In essence, he couldn't make the law work for him. He had done all of the right things and he had said all of the right affirmations. He was praying and meditating and listening. Still, his life was a mess.
There's so much more to attain, so much more to achieve, so much waiting. Man, life is just too short to not make the most out of it, to get in the way of your own greatness. Why would you decide to wake up every day and not feel like it was the best gift possible? Not take advantage? Why would you limit that for yourself? There will be times when you struggle. There will be tough days. There will be times of self-doubt, but let it all fall to the wayside. See past it. Your destiny lies far beyond any self-made wall. Take that with you.
Let me ask you a question. How many of you have something that you could do that you could charge someone $10 for? I don't care if it's braiding hair, cutting grass. I don't care if it's making beads. I don't care if it's making clothes. All of you have something. You can tutor somebody for $10. You can babysit somebody for $10. Then guess what you do? Go do that. Then when you make the $10, I want you to do it 10 more times. You'll have $100. After you do that 10 times, I want you to do it 10 more times. Whatever you did to make $100, do it 10 more times. You'll have $1,000. After you make $1,000, here's what I want you to do. Whatever you did to make the $1,000.
And the more and more you start to see that change is not pain, you're going to see transformation. Your life's going to experience a quantum leap because now, even though in your childhood you were traumatized because of change, your history is not your destiny. See, those of you who will evolve, who are willing to evolve, you will inherit the future. Those of you who are willing to take everything you do to the next level, you will inherit the future. It is the individual who is willing to become more. Change is inevitable. And you are either changing for the worse or changing for the better. You decide. Change is an invitation to the future. If I can change, I can have my future.
There have been times in my life when I've been down. I've been out, I've been afraid, I've looked up at the road ahead and been completely unsure, and I can say firsthand when you're going through a situation like this, that it essentially consumes you. Right? It's all you see, it's all you think about, to the point where the good stuff, the opportunity all around you, it becomes transparent. You see right through it.
Listen to me. I want you to do it 10 more times. You will have $10,000. Now here's the hard part. When you make $10,000, here's what I want you to do. Take that $10 thing that you made $10,000 with, and I want you to do it 10 more times. Just multiply all of your efforts by 10. That $10,000 turns into $100,000. Now, after you make $100,000, you're gonna have to hire some people. They're gonna have some people working for you, so you can keep doing it in multiples of 10. But after you make $100,000, I got news for you. I want you to listen to this real careful. Here's what you have to do. This is the catch. Whatever you did to make $100,000, you have to do that 10 more times. Once you do that 10 more times, congratulations.
Another reason why people hate change is because not only do they see change as pain, but all they see change is as failure. And it's because every time you've made a change, you have failed. And you have to start identifying change with a new layer of belief. People tell me all the time, it's hard to get wealthy. It's hard to grind. It's hard to be focused. How do you even do these speeches? It's hard to stay motivated. It's hard to stay broke. It's hard to stay depressed. It's hard to stay governed by anxiety. It's hard to be inconsistent. It's hard not to have daily disciplines. It's hard not to believe in yourself. It's hard to be broke. It's hard to be poor. It's hard. It's all hard. So choose your heart. You either gonna work for it, you're gonna sit there and let life knock you down and dare you to get back up. So I see the privilege. I see the moment.
It's the negative, it's misfortune for a period of time that becomes your narrative, becomes the story. What if this is forever? What if I'm not as good as I want to be, as they are? What if things don't work out? Never mind the fact that you've been here before and you've battled back. Never mind how far you've come, know that takes a back seat to the discomfort that we feel right now. And that's the irrationality of the human mind we forget. We forget that the lows create the highs, that temporary isn't forever, that you can't stand with any type of authority if you've never before fallen. Accomplishing anything is never just walking up and reaching a goal. Please do watch our other motivation videos on the screen now. Thank you.
The Bible says a man is as he thinketh. If you live your life in expectations, that's what happens to you. If you live your life in despair, that's what happens to you. If you say all men are dogs, you're going to meet every last one of them. I'll never be rich. You won't. You won't. The moment you change the frequency that your tower emits, the moment you change that frequency, different things come back to you. If you change your attitude, you change your altitude.
I think the biggest vulnerability you've got is you actually value somebody's opinion more than you value your own. Like, the reason I've been able to always do my thing is when I was 24 and people were like, oh, you work at your dad's liquor store? Like, I heard that as like a chip on my shoulder, you know? I loved it. I was like, cool, keep sleeping on me, you know? Like, I'm glad you're on Wall Street making $100,000 buying BMWs and dumb jewelry. I'll see you in 30 years. You understand? Like, to me, the way you win is you realize you can't hear nobody, not your parents. I mean, listen, you gotta listen to coach and all that. I get it, but at the end of the day, my guy, yourself, you gotta get real quiet up here. I can't hear anything. You go look at my Instagram right now, my first post, I'll post something, first 100 replies in 1 second. You're Jesus. You walk on water. You're the best. You're the all-time. Can't hear him. The next 100, you're a piece of, you're full of, you're a snake oil salesman. Can't hear him. I'm in my own mind, doing my own thing. And that comes with self-esteem. Everybody's trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm not worried about you being in the Hamptons on a blow-up Swan. I'm not worried about you renting out cash from the bank and putting it to your ear. I'm not worried you jumped a fence and took a photo in front of a private plane. What do you think these people are doing? They're posing. Patience, long game. You know what's amazing about being an entrepreneur? We get to play forever. Right? I'm gonna be working with them.
Like, what are women just drowning in? Like, what is crushing women at other people's opinions?
I know.
They live their life terrified of failure, terrified to try, terrified that they're getting it wrong, because their mother-in-law will disapprove, or the girls that they went to high school with, or, you know, they're going to see me on Facebook and they're going to watch me. It's crazy. It's crazy because those people that you're so terrified of their opinion of you, those people are not the ones who will live with the regret. Those people are not the ones who can't afford to take their kids on vacation. Those people are not the ones who are struggling for, like, all these things that you want for your life, but you're too afraid to reach for because of what other people will think. Those other people are not going to be there when it sucks and it's hard for you. That's all on you. So I get so fired up about this topic. And I also believe, like, so most little boys, I know not everybody, but most little boys are taught this idea of, like, you have potential. You're supposed to reach for that potential or try and be a better version of yourself. And frankly, most little girls are taught, you know, to reach for men. Like, hey, find yourself a husband and then you'll be doing well. And this, I believe in my heart. Like, have you ever seen those movies? Of course you have. Where, like, someone, like, gets bit by a spider, or they take a pill or whatever, and all of a sudden they have access to all of their mind instead of just a small percent. I feel like that's what's happening to women in the world. Like, if they just took, like, even if the smallest percentage of women, even if just the women who are listening to this, took one single step in the direction of who God calls them to be, I think that the results would be atomic.
My God. I appreciate every facet of life. Right, but I also believe life is the best classroom. And so I'm very cognizant of situations, circumstances, and I firmly believe, as Sean stated, the one thing we all have in common as people is we all will face some level of adversity. And so something pretty cool happened last week when I was in Seattle, and I'm going to get to that, but first I want to explain to you the card that I have in my hand. In my house, I have a bowl, right, and I call it a quote bowl, right, because I believe it's very important before you start your day to set the environment, to set the mood, because you can get up and just start running, and then you run out of the door, life hits you in the face, and before you know it, you woke up, you were on top of the world, now the world is on top of you. And so every single morning, me and my kids and my wife, we go to this bowl, and we grab a quote card, and we read it, right, and we put it in whatever bag we have, and we take it out of the door with us, and when I travel, I keep them with me as well. And today the quote says, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better, by Maya Angelou. Right? It's my gift to you, Sean. Can't ever say I didn't give you nothing, man. Right? But I was in Seattle, and a guy came to pick me up last week, and, you know, when he picked me up, it was around midnight. And so we probably said maybe 3 or 4 words to each other. It was late. And when we got to the hotel, I thanked him, and he said to me, I'll be the guy that's coming back to pick you up in the morning to take you to your event. We talked about the time. I said, okay, cool, I'll see you in the morning. And so when I came down the next morning, guy stood outside his car, we spoke, we get in the car, and we're riding for 5 minutes. And I look in the mirror, and I can see the guy is crying. And so as I'm sitting in the back seat, I say to him, is everything okay? And he shakes his head kind of like, man, like you're not going to believe it, right? And he said, my normal job, I don't drive, but my buddy owns the company. And he said, whenever he gets overwhelmed, he might call me and say, hey, man, can you cover a shift for me? And he said, usually I'll tell him, no, I'm cool, right? Because you meet people and sometimes it's just not the situation. And he said, I hadn't drove for him in probably 11 months. And he said, for some reason, when he called me yesterday, I was like, cool, I'll take it. He said, I looked you up after I dropped you off, and I saw this video about redirection, right, at 3 in the morning. And he said, it gave me purpose. He said, but the reason I'm crying is because I just lost my wife, right? And when he said it, I thought to myself, like, how do you smile after that? Right? Because I know every single day I look at my wife and what my wife means to me. And even when I lost my grandmother, I thought to myself, would I ever be able to smile and laugh again? And so I posed a question to him. How did you get up and simply put one foot in front of the other and walk out of the door and continue your routine?
He said, well, I got 2 daughters. He said, before I get to that, I want to tell you something, because it wasn't like it was all good, the whole process, and my wife had been sick for over 30 years, right? And he said, we got to a point in the sickness to where we hit a rough patch. And he said, she would scream at me, I would scream at her, and I felt as if I was trapped in a situation, and the Creator knew I couldn't leave the situation, and so I would say to the Creator, you know I can't leave, and my wife is sick. You know I can't go anywhere. You know I can't leave her because she's my wife, and I can't go anywhere, so I gotta sit here and I gotta deal with it. And I resented the situation, I resented my wife, I resented the adversity, and we found ourselves in a point to where I ended up leaving. And he said, I went to stay with one of my buddies, and I'm in the mirror one morning and I'm brushing my teeth, and he said, I'm saying to myself, right, for better or for worse, yeah, things have gotten pretty worse. For richer or for poor, yeah, we're pretty poor. And he said, through sickness and health. And he said, he stopped and said, man, I haven't finished. And he went and he packed his bags, walked out of the door, got back to his house. When he walked in the door, he said his wife said to him, what are you doing here, you prig? And he said to her, I'm gonna be here. I'm not going anywhere. So either we can figure out how to make it work, how to deal with it, adjust, or we can sit here and we can just be miserable and mad because a situation has happened that's out of our control and we didn't expect it. Like, I believe in life, you got 2 separate people. You got champions, right? And they go through things in life that are self-inflicted. They bring it upon themselves, they get through it, they say, man, I got through it. And then you got warriors. Right? They walk outside, the wind hits them, knocks them down, they pick up their stuff, they adjust, and they get moving, and they deal with the adversity that they didn't expect. They set their perspective right, and they figure out a way to embrace it and add value to every environment that they go into and every person's life that they come in contact with.
People's opinion of you is none of your business, nor should you make it yours. You get in a lot of trouble worrying about what somebody think about you. Do not let other people's opinion of you determine your direction. They don't know you. They don't know what's best for you. They don't know the plans for you. They don't know your real direction. And most of these people who have opinions of you are not even really well-meaning people. The answer to your success lies purely between you and your relationship with God. You need to look closely at the person that's providing you their opinion. Do they take their own advice? Do they listen to others when others advise them? Hardly ever, man. Be careful when you are taking direction from people who are not where you're trying to go. I was listening to Joel Osteen on TV one day. He said, other people's opinion of you is none of your business, nor should you make it yours. Remember this, people's opinion are just their opinion. They don't know you.
To me, successful is getting to the point where you are absolutely comfortable with yourself. It does not matter how many things you have acquired. The ability to learn to say no and not to feel guilty about it, to me, is about the greatest success I have achieved. The fact that I have, in the public side, done whatever, it's all a part of a process for growing for me. But to me, to have the kind of internal strength and internal courage it takes to say, no, I will not let you treat me this way, is what success is all about. It's the same thing that prevents you from being abused as a child, that prevents you from being abused as an adult, that allows you to build success for yourself. I will not be treated this way. I demand only the best for myself. All the mistakes I've made in my life, I've made because I was trying to please everyone. Every one of them. There's not one that I've made because I did something because I really wanted to do this for myself. Every mistake I've ever made is because I went outside of myself to do something for somebody else that I should not, to please them, just for the purpose of pleasing them. You are worthy to say no. That it's okay if you say no. It's okay if you say no and then people don't like you. That's really okay. The important thing is how you feel about what you're doing, how you feel about yourself. It's a long struggle though. And I'm just hoping that, in the work that I do on the show and the speaking that I do around the country, and that young people who are watching this can get the lesson sooner than I did. Because it's painful, because you keep repeating it over and over and over.
Here's another big one. Learn to say no. I'm telling you, in such a social society we have now, it's so easy to try to be a nice person, saying yes, yes, yes to everything. Find yourself overloaded. Now you got to call and make all the time it takes to back out of something that you should said yes to too quickly. My friend Ron Reynolds says, don't let your mouth overload your back.
I used to be one of those people who had the disease to please. I said yes many times when I knew I should have been saying no, and then I would be mad at myself for saying yes. You say yes, then you're mad when they come back again. Because when you say yes, when you really mean no, people follow the intention of the yes. Because why do you say yes? You say yes because you don't want the person to be upset with you. They're not. You don't want the person to be angry. You want the person to think you're nice. They do. And that is why they keep coming back. Nothing is showing up in your life that you didn't order there. So what I learned is that the reason why people keep showing up is because my intention is to make them think that I'm such a nice person, that you can ask me for anything, you can get me to do anything, I'm going to say yes, I'm going to say yes. So many times you will have angst and worry about things, and you will put yourself in a state when the other person really isn't even thinking about you. A lot of women have a disease to please, and a lot of women, I think I was in my mid-40s before I started to figure this out. You want to be successful, you want to do well, but you're so, just what she was talking about, you're so worried about what other people are going to say about it. I was saying earlier, you're worried about people saying who she thinks she is. I don't want people to think that I'm better than they are. I don't want people to think. How do you continue to move forward and live with the haters?
I think that women are so loving and so nurturing and so giving, but here's a mistake that women and some men make as well. You cannot have a private relationship in a public arena. You cannot do that. You look to an inner circle of people who really know you for that validation, that pleasing, that strength, that understanding. Don't expect to have that kind of intimate relationship with people who just know you publicly and peripherally. Don't seek to be understood by the world. Most of our great leaders, world changers, thinkers were understood better after their life than during their life. So if you need everybody to understand you before you do it, I got bad news. You're going to be dead before you're fully understood. You better go ahead. You better go ahead and live on purpose and understand it's like a woman who's pregnant and goes to the doctor and says, I want to have this baby, but I don't want my ankles to swell. I don't want this mask on my face, and I don't want to gain any weight. And he's going to tell her there's no way you can have the baby because this goes along with it. That goes along with purpose. Haters are a part of the process. Go ahead and take it. Just get a bigger dress, do something, keep on going.
Some people, no matter what you do, are not going to be for you. Not everyone is going to like you or understand you. How much time are you spending worried about what they're saying? Trying to pay that friend back for making you look bad. You don't have time for all that pettiness. Let it go in one ear and out the other, and use that energy to move toward your God-given dreams.
So one of my favorite quotes by Ralph Waldo Emerson is that the most difficult thing for a man to do is to be himself in a world that's constantly trying to change him. So what do? Easier said than done, but what I have to do is you've got to ignore everyone. If you want to be true to yourself without being sullied by the opinions, either good or bad, negative or positive, because they're both forms of slavery, you've got to close your door, you've got to shut off your phone, you've got to shut off your computer, you've got to sit down, you've got to be with yourself and God and let it speak through you purely. Become a hollow reed, unobstructed by the opinions, positive and negative, of other people.
What people think about you and the possibilities for your dream is none of your business. They have no imagination, ladies and gentlemen. Let me share something with you. History is being read, but it's also being written by people with imagination. You've got to find ways to increase your sense of self-appreciation, because if you don't program yourself, life will program you. Are you surrounding yourself with people that can nourish you, Is your life an adventure or is it boring? You don't want to ever put yourself in a situation where you have a limited vision and you're only using a limited amount of your talents and of your abilities.